Okay, welcome to Stott's Fine Art. We're back on some acrylic on canvas today. We want to do a Tuscan scene, and I had been commissioned to do some of these years ago, and occasionally get back and do some just on a speculative nature. This is going with a little bit smaller canvas, try to get these videos knocked out a little. They're not so long, so you can sit and enjoy them. Maybe not take quite so long. We'll see how this works. Smaller canvas means a little less detail, but I think it'll get the message across and the techniques. I went ahead and charcoaled in the scene here, and I'm just rubbing some of this charcoal in, getting ready to apply the paint. And yeah, it gets a little messy, but it's we're going to do several layers, so the layering will take care of that. Okay, so let's always start my palette. Every artist has their palette that they like to use. I like to start with just some raw sienna as a base color, and I always just take plain raw sienna. Really doesn't even need any water in it. Just and just kind of trace over what I just did with charcoal, and it'll get a little dirty and messy, but that's okay. We're gonna be layering over that, several layers, so we just need to start getting some permanence to this charcoal. So this had a little wall kind of coming down here, and then there's a little path or roadway coming down. But I think depth, for me, a good landscape is one that fools the eye, makes it look like you can walk into the canvas rather than it just being that flat surface. Go ahead and just outline. It's got a little kind of a low hip roof. I used to be in the construction business, a builder, and this is more of a hip roof, and they're not too steep over there. They're more of a lower. Now I'm being pretty loose with these details. The windows pretty messy. Now I want it to be somewhat impressionistic anyway, but the thing is with acrylic, it's really user friendly, and you can clean it up as you go. It's if I was doing a watercolor, I'd probably use a more precise pencil on paper and be a little more careful as I laid things in. But blocking in with acrylic, it's an opaque medium as opposed to transparent like watercolor. So you can kind of block it in with a little less precision. I'm getting things in about the right spot, but not worrying about polish yet. Just getting some of these cypress trees being American, my cypress trees sometimes end up looking more like pines. I guess maybe they're related, I don't know. But plus I keep it pretty loose. that I had been commissioned by some art publishing companies back around '07 or something. I think it was one out of New York, and I did some Tuscany scenes, and they published them, and they sold quite a few of those back then for about a year and a half. And it's funny with art, it's we had that credit crisis and housing bubble burst in '08, and a lot of, even the print publishing companies, a lot of them almost went under, were pretty heavily damaged along with galleries. So I'm sure those of you who have had a career in art, especially a longer career, know the ups and downs. Things out of your control will harm your galleries and harm your publishers and things, but you just keep going. You do it because you love it. So I just keep rolling along, and something good always comes out of it. Let's see, is that all I need? Let's see. I tell you what, I did have a little rolling hill back here. I think I'm debating whether I'd dispense with it just to get a little more speed going. I think I will. I think I'll just make that all sky. Maybe we can get this done in one setting. So, okay, after I do this, after I just get some permanence in there with some raw sienna, and that becomes part of your signature, really, the colors you use, and you tend to want to use some consistent color. You can always make a few changes, but try to have some consistency. That'll help you build up your skill in that that subject matter and that those colors, and it'll show you've got some maturity. If you show these, people will think or know that well, you know what you're doing. You got a consistent body of work. So, okay, so let that dry. Just didn't take long. I'll wash this brush while I'm waiting. Got the sound down, but I'm watching a Cardinals-Giants game off to the side, and my Cards just hit a 2-run homer. They just taken the lead. So you subscribe to my channel, you're not just going to get art. You're going to get sports commentary, current events. That's no extra charge for all that too. So you really ought to subscribe. Okay, that's drying pretty fast. What I want to do is a wash over that whole thing. Start putting a little bit of atmosphere in that, and get that brush, smaller brush washed. Okay, I'm going to get a bigger brush now. Going to need a bigger brush. Does that sound familiar? Jaws fans, going to need a bigger boat. Okay, let's see. Oh, looks like I hit that camera. Let me turn that back. Show business. Show must go on. Okay, I want to do just a general wash. I'm going to take, I'll try to bring this, just some raw sienna and some yellow ochre. And I'm going to put quite a bit of water in it. Kind of watching the monitor to see if you're seeing all this. So, a lot of water in this first. You see, it's just dripping because I want this to just bleed through, goes through, and this is not polished yet. It's going to be just this first raw, rough layer, but it will already show you, you know, you're building up some atmosphere. So I'll do just half of this and then quickly do the other half, but you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. That's just a good way to put in some underpainting and also build some atmosphere. And I paint in a fairly atmospheric style where things are, you know, just creates that depth. So go right over it, just right over everything. Just that's why this needs to be somewhat dry. You don't want it to disappear. And but with the water, as long as you've got pretty good helping of water, it's not enough water to just make it like clear watercolor, but it's enough to let your initial painting outlines bleed through. Okay, just for a second I'll stop right here. You see how already we're creating this? Looks like it's just going back in space as opposed to this flat area. Now again, we need more layers, but you're seeing some of it develop already. So let me just finish. And now you'll see this first wet layer, whether you want to call it a wash or a glaze, really more of a almost like a watercolor wash. You're going to see some rough brush strokes, and those are too rough. That's not a finished look. Brush strokes are nothing wrong with seeing brush strokes, but since there's no really color under it, it looks, they show up too much, and especially as they dry, they're a little rough and unfinished, unpolished. And so we'll do more layers. This will end up a blue, mostly blue with a little bit of golden light down at the horizon. And okay, now we will let that dry just a bit. Okay, I want to start putting in some darks now, and I'm going to get some a little bit of dark green and just a little bit of black. Here, just got some hooker's green there, and start dry brushing some of those in. So these dark green trees, now we'll want to lighten those up a bit. This is just a base. We'll want to put a little bit of light on them, you know, a little bit of lighter green. And I'm using a little dry brush here. And you can also, something I like to do is lift a little. Once you've got an underpainting under there, you can do some lifting, create some interesting effects. So I'm just gonna knock out these darks here. Yeah, we paint from dark to light with opaque media as opposed to light to dark, say with watercolor on a transparent medium. And I'm just using some dark green here, even on this road. It's just an underpainting. Really, any dark will do, because we'll cover that up with some maybe more appropriate color, something, some soil colors. And then some of these little messy areas, we'll be cleaning those up too. Bring this up a little closer. You can see how you want some softness, but sometimes it's just a bit messy, so we'll be cleaning that up, cropping that up with some of the sky color, and but it's just about layering, really. It's it's amazing as I look at the time going by on these videos. It's 20 minutes is gone. Seems like about 5. That's a good thing about art, though, painting. It's time goes by, kind of therapeutic, isn't it? For those of you who paint, and you might enjoy painting. You might just enjoy watching painters. I paint in public, used to a lot, in front of galleries or something that I was in, and people always enjoyed it, watching it, and I enjoyed performing that way. And it's like any hand-done skill, like laying masonry or tiles. It's kind of fun to watch craftsmen work, isn't it? And I was getting, a friend of mine was a tile setter. He was retiling my shower. This is maybe 40 years ago. And so I was young and still ready to help. And I said, at that time he was charging me $500 to reset the tile. You gotta remember, this is a long time ago. Inflation. And I asked him, said, okay, it's $500. What would you charge me if I helped you? And he said, well, I'll charge you $600 if you help me. So he didn't want me messing up what he was doing. So you see how some of this lifting, when you've got a color underneath, you can do some interesting effects just with a damp paper towel. Okay, now I'm going to take, and again at this point, just the darks. Could be any dark. I'll just stick with this green because they're going to be covered up. So let me just outline this. Little rough here, and then the rest of the building. So just the windows in there, and see, that's pretty rough, but we can clean that up with even though this is impressionistic and loose, there will be some, there'll be some detail. So we'll clean up as we paint in some of this rock and stone around here. We'll square those off a little better. But for now, all I need is a little something dark in there. There's a little side porch there, and that little wall's disappearing, and that'll happen as this method. Through the layers, you'll lose little areas, you'll damage them, and you just put them back in. Like I said, it's not like watercolor, where if I put a bunch of dark, then I couldn't get maybe that light wall. You just paint, you can lift it, or you can paint it right back in with some opaque. And You see, we're creating some light with just the lifting of the dark. You know, we got also can come in with some some lighter color, which I'll do. Just kind of playing with it now. So the process is fun. I like to throw in little changes in the process from time to time. Yeah, the time is moving on. We'll see. I may have to break this down into a two-parter. It's hard to do even a small painting, do it right, and just fly through it. You know, I'm sure those of you that paint understand that. Even a loose painting, there's a lot of care. We need to come back and clean all this up, and might help if I'd get a bigger brush for this foreground. So really messy at the moment, but there's kind of a nice loose beauty to that too. So see if I'm still in the frame there. Yep. See some of these trees, you know, some light over that. And again, this is still somewhat underpainting, so I don't have to be just get it in the right location. I don't have to take care of for those edges yet. I will, but I like to just let everything crash into each other at first, and then I'll clean it up in subsequent layers. Okay. Let me get a little bit of golden color. I'm going to mix a little bit of orange here. The siennas and ochres make a nice warm color. If you want something to stand out a little more, you can get some yellow and red, and maybe a little yellow ochre. Maybe for the star is kind of that little Tuscany Villa itself. So makes a little bit brighter color here. Let's see. Going right over the windows and everything. Some of these dark outlines I'm going to need to clean up. Some of the shadows under the eave will be fine. You want that dark. And then the whole thing will need to be cleaned up, you know, just, but that layering is what gives it the depth of your painting. You just remember to layer it. And again, the user friendliness of acrylic can just go right over some things and clean it up, or I'll clean it up some more again with some opaque layers. And okay, let me put in see how you create more atmosphere, how those go back. You're just covering them, they still show through. And then we'll, like I said, we'll clean them up. It's a nice loose look now, but it needs to be polished a little bit. Plus, as you're watching this, you know, you don't see it full size up close, so it's just it's too rough for a finished piece of art. Just keep layering it, and I'm thinking now, instead of trying to jam all this in one setting, I don't know, may need to call this part one, and do a second one to clean this up, get the sky in, and just running a little long. There's really a pendulum swinging. You're defining areas, and then you're softening them and creating that atmosphere. Now, when you create that atmosphere, though, it somewhat undefines them, and you want a mixture with impressionism. You know, a mixture of definition and then just that loose, nice atmospheric feeling. And like, say, right in this horizon, maybe I'll stop part one here, and we'll see maybe two parts, maybe three, but I could take some, let's see, just a bright little color just to start. I always like to have a nice little bit of color at the sunset, sundown. So let me get this brush cleaned so I can get some pure, a little bit brighter out of an orange, and maybe a little thicker here. I've been using thin layers. I'll thicken them up a little stronger. Put a touch of white in it. White and yellow and red. Just cad yellow and cad red, medium. And a little titanium white. Okay, so this'll, see how you can go a little thicker, and you can start putting in that little bit of nice sunny color. You can see it kind of peeking through those trees. And again, this will need to be cleaned up a lot. We'll do that in the second part. I wish I could keep going with this one. It was just too much to do. It's just going to be too long. And okay, so you see we're starting to get some more layering here, and we can leave it a little thicker at places. Doesn't have to all be thin layers. Kind of transition it off up there. And then as you put that sky in, this is where you can kind of clean up, you know, the edges of those trees. See? You can leave some of it a little blurry, you know, give it some nice relaxed feel. Go over it a little bit. Clean up here. And we'll be doing the same thing with the think I'll cut it this point right in here. You know, we'll be putting some nice warm color on that villa, but see how you can take a nice little flat and so you begin to clean up those windows, make them a little smaller, a little more to scale. Down here. And that little stair step wall coming down. We can also get rid of these dark outlines just painting over it with some opaque light. Again, there's the user friendliness of acrylic. You can just take that dark right out of there, paint over it with some opaque color. I've hung a little longer. I wanted to see show you some of these final layers. Maybe one more. Let's see. Can't stop, can I? Just want to keep going. That roof. See, we got a tile roof, and you know, get that red. Tile up there, and see, since you've got color underneath it, it's creating depth. There's depth in the atmosphere, there's depth in the ground, there's depth in a wall. And you can get that really easy just by layering these acrylics. See, that's beginning to create a little bit of a finished look there. See, there's a little lean-to off that edge, so see, there's a little bit of that tile roof there. And okay, let's I want to put a little dark red right here. That's in shadow, so I put a touch of black in that red. Just a little bit of shadow there. Well, that's a little lighter than I wanted, but just trying to define that wall, the wall that's in shadow. And so we'll brighten this up, maybe brighter over here as we have the sun kind of raking across this side and in shadow here. And so we can do that, and if we need to do that, we'll need to brighten it a little more than this right over in this area. And we can put that shadow on either side though, if you want to make this your greatest source of light. And I kind of like that broader face in the bright sun, though, showing that nice warm stone. So I think I'll kind of cheat that light sun more over this way, where it might catch that a little bit as this at an angle. So let me just show you that right quick. I'll tell you, it's hard to quit. Get something going. See if I can get the right. Gonna add more white to it. Try to make this a little brighter over here. My yellow's crapping out on me. Let's see here. A little more in here. Got it a little too pink. That's okay. We can clean that up. Let me just mix it a little. Need to mix it a little better. Clean up the top of that roof with a little bit of color. Okay, well, we've got more to do here. More than we can get done today. Okay, well, that's a good start. Maybe we're at the halfway point. I don't know. We'll see. I think I've gone too long with this. So, all right. Well, we'll get this going. The second part in another day, and then I'll probably publish this. I don't know, tonight or next day or two. May have to cut a little of it out. So anyway, well, thanks from Stott's Fine Art, and 12 by 16 acrylic on canvas, and we will finish it up later. Thanks. Bye bye.